I want you to imagine I have this little ritual I go through at times where now that I can, I sneak out of the office at about 1:30 or 2 o'clock and I go up to my home. So that means normally my wife is out, my daughters are gone, and there's nobody there. And I actually go through this little ritual. I get in bed for 40 minutes, okay? And I feel like this is a sin. This is a sin of just too much relaxation, right? So I lie down there, and when I'm lying down there the other day, I hear this ba 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 on my roof, and I'm like, good Lord, given the news today, I'm like, we're under attack. Something has happened, we're going down, dive under the bed, run for cover. So I lie there and it stops and I'm like, oh my Lord, what was that? Starts again. So I call my wife, I said, Carolyn, what is there somebody up on, is that a rifle range up on the roof? I mean, tell me, is there something on the news? Because now I'm under the bed, I'm scared to death. And she goes, oh no, there's a woodpecker up there. Right? And I go, a woodpecker on the roof? What in God's green earth? And I thought, why is this woodpecker up on the roof? And she goes, well, see, the woodpecker has its family, and the family lives in the eaves of the house. So now I'm like, oh, so we're breeding, I got 5 daughters. What am I doing breeding woodpeckers in my roof? Right? Like, okay, so if I'm a little bit of a rude guy, I'm like, well, can we find a way to comfortably remove them from the environment? And of course, no, my daughters and everybody says, no, Daddy, we can't. They're so cute. We've seen them. Oh, they're darling. And the dad is down on those, he comes like the little, he has like the brown, and the mom has like the Woody Woodpecker look, and they have pictures of them, and I'm like, oh, great. So anyway, what I think to myself is, good Lord, that woodpecker has passion. And I talk about that today. I mean, that cannot be fun, but that woodpecker gets up and goes, I got one thing to do today, and that's to go bang on something with my nose, and I feel like I did that for years of my life, right? And then I go, but I say, he's got a problem. He is banging on something that he's not going to win. Okay, he's not going to win. It's a she. I found out. The video footage shows a she banging on the roof, which we're happy to have, unbeknownst to me. So anyway, I go, well, maybe she should talk to her wife, husband, and say, hey, why am I doing this every day? Right? No, she doesn't. Okay, she just keeps banging on my roof when I'm trying to get a nap. So then I go, whew. I mean, so I'd like to talk about people, share what's going on. We got to have something to bang on. I feel like I'm banging on things sometimes and getting nowhere, right? So then I think, but she needs to persevere, the little birdie, right? So she's up there. Now, here's the problem. She's banging on a metal chimney. So I'm like, now you got a real big problem because you're not getting through the chimney ever. It's a metal chimney, so it just sounds like, literally like somebody smashing a drum up there. And I'm like, not only that, she's going to need eventually some help for the brain, because I say she's going to get hurt up there. Banging on that every day on metal, not a smart plan. Maybe, but that's what she's going to do every day. She's going to have to persevere. She's going to have to go see like a woodpecker neurologist or something eventually. I don't know what you're going to do, but you got to find a way to get over this, because if you're going to go and you're banging on metal, you are a woodpecker. You're not a metal, whatever. So my wife said not to use that joke for all of the evil men out there, and women, I'm sure. But anyway, so what I love to talk about, though, is passion. And that's something I talk about at the outset. And I don't know if you're here today, if you can think about this. What I never had, when I was a young man, I did not have, per se, any professional passion. None. I got out of college, and to me it was like, oh my Lord. So do you mean 8 hours every day, 5 days a week? 5. Right? And what, 2 off? What is this, a concentration camp? And I'm moving around with people, they got kids, they're like old, they're boring, and they say, well, you can be like me. I think, I don't want to be like you. I just want to stay right here where I am. You know, my future planning did not go much past Friday night. You know, by about Tuesday, I'm trying to figure out where are all the girls and where is all the beer and how can I get out of here and go there. You know, that was, and so I'm not proud of that, but that's where I was. And that stayed that way. And then finally, I got a job selling. And what happened in that job selling was I had a friend of mine who was really good at selling and very successful at it and young. And he came up to me one day and he said, "Hey, Mark, are you selling?" And I went, "Yeah, I am. And I just was like, "Yeah, I got the gift of gab. They'll buy from me. Come on." You know, so he goes, "Do you understand that every day that you're not working on that profession, someone is smoking you? Someone is running right past you and you don't even know it. That's the shame. So if you want to be good at that, why don't you stop fiddling around on the edges and start getting in it?" And for some reason that resonated with me. I don't know why, but that resonated. So I got a job. Now, mind you, I sell bags for a living, okay? So I got a job in a bag company back outside of Philadelphia. And there was not a lot. If I said by a show of hands here, how many people dream of being a bag man when they're 55? You know, not a lot, okay? So now I jumped from the frying pan into the fire. You know, now I'm burning. But oddly enough, I started focusing on my selling skills. And I poured energy into it. I started reading every little stupid sales book. I went to seminars. I did everything. I got up every morning. I worked. I did what they said. You know, I listened. So all of a sudden, I start to be good at it. And it felt really good. And I start meeting people who had different disciplines than me that I needed, and I needed their help in order for me to move ahead. And all of a sudden, in fact, to me, it wasn't about bags anymore. It was about a project. It was about solving something. It was about an equation. And I feel like if you're going to be in work world and you're going to do something, well then heck, so many people spend their time saying, what could I do other than this that would give me passion? And my take is, you know what? I don't think passion just comes. A few people are lucky enough that at a young age, they just have a passion. I am of the belief, and I have 5 daughters, so I listen to them grow up, and I'm like, they are so scatterbrained about what they want to do. And I'm like, that's okay. That's okay. That's what you should be. But the point is that sooner or later, you have to pick something. And when you pick it, don't, for a little while, focused on just that. So as you think today about your job, what you're doing, are you focusing on just that? Or are you spending half your time thinking about, what could I do if I'm not here? Well, here, this is it right now. We start today, you know, and we have something to learn, some way to just push that ball, and it doesn't have to go very far. If you push it just a little bit each day, look back over 10 years. I've been doing this for 30 years. You know, I still don't feel like I'm at the top of the hill, but I know I'm not at the bottom anymore. And that makes me feel good, because in the line of that, my passion gets confirmed back to me, and I feel good about who I am. Sometimes. We all have times I just feel like it's a disaster. But anyway, that's just because I'm neurotic and weird. But anyway, the other side of it is then I go, you know, but you can't get there without people. And when I started to when I moved out here from Philadelphia at 39 with 3 daughters and my wife, we came out to Sammamish, right? And I thought, I didn't like anybody. Nobody. Absolutely nobody. I couldn't figure out, why all the trees? Okay, why all the trees? Okay, why? Okay, I don't get it. Why don't we just knock them down and like build a park? You know, what's going on here? You know, what, no tenement homes? I'm out here in the middle of nowhere, and my wife will say to me, "Oh, you can go out for a jog." I'm like, "Where?" She'll be like, "In the forest." No. Wild animals, Sasquatch. I'm not going out there. Have you seen it in there? That's deadly. You know, I was more frightened of that than walking down through, like, you know, the ghettos of Philly. I'm like, oh my God. I look in and I'm like, no, don't go. You know, I hear one little snap of a twig and I figure, oh, that's it. Wildcat. Because I read this thing that said, if you get attacked by a wildcat, he's been watching you for a half hour before he attacks. And now I'm tired. I've been running for about a half hour, and this thing's going to eat me, you know? I'm like, oh, my Lord. But the point is, I realized that doesn't do me any good. So I said one day to myself, Mark, you've got the courage to take the run in the forest. And I did it, okay? Oh, I'm a strong, what courage. Anyway, what I said, but I had to accept the people here. You know, there is definitely in the Northwest versus the East Coast a slightly different culture, okay? A slightly different culture, okay? Like, I am just I can't understand why every red light is the end of the world, okay? Every red light. Anybody in front of me, my attitude is, first, number, why are you here? Okay, number two, why does this red light take so long? And maybe if I honk, it'll go faster, okay? Which is not a good thing to do. I didn't understand when I got out here, why do they stop when you come up to the street? Why does the car stop, for crying out loud, right? I mean, one time in Kirkland, they stopped with my wife and I look at the guy and I said, what's your problem? What are you looking at? You know, and, and he's like, just cross the street, you knucklehead, you know, and I'm like, all right, fine, I'll go. It's enough out of you, right? So, but I couldn't get there. So when I got to my office and started to run my business, I realized I now, in order to make a small business run, that will not get me anywhere in life. It won't. And what I have a couple examples of. A young man got out of Western Washington and he came to work. When I showed up, he was working there, okay? And that young man was pretty much everything I wasn't. He was his hair was frosted in some way, and I don't mind, I don't care, don't get me wrong, but it didn't look like a kid from the streets of Philly, I'm just gonna say that. And he dressed very nicely, you know, and occasionally he would come to work with like leather pants on, and I'd be like, whoa, what's up with that? Leather pants, nice, you know? So, but what I realized with that guy is, I was judging him to some extent, but in fact, he had passion. And he was attracted to mine. And what happened was, all I needed to do was let him know that he was important, pump him up a little bit, and he had all of that in there. And once you got him pumped up, he ran like you could, you know, and he stumbled along. He had a lot of what all of us have, insecurity. I used to say to him all the time, you know the answer. You're just afraid to say it in front of a customer. You think you have to ask me, but when you ask me and I say, what do you think? Your answer is what I was going to say. You just haven't built that conviction up. Well, now that guy's been with me, I think it's like 17 years. He's our vice president of sales. And he's a wonderful guy. I mean, he works hard. He has the passion. I can point to 5 other people that are now working with me in a business of 60 people, 7 or 8 people probably, that have all been with me for more than 15 years. And I say, why? Why did they do that? Why did they stay? And I think, well, Mark, it's because you're a genius, you're handsome, and you're good looking. You know, I mean, isn't it obvious? You know? And then I go, no, it isn't. It's because I needed them so I could do what I wanted to do. And if you have a small business, you can't do it all alone. You just can't. If you try to move on to something, so my take is, if somebody in that business has some passion, and many times it's the one who started it, or a small group of people, your job is to somehow convey that passion, give somebody a task, and trust that they may get it done right, but they won't do it your way. And if all you do is stand over their back and go, did you do it? Did you do it? Did you do it? Did you do it? You know, I know if somebody did that to me, first off, I find a way to do it wrong just to make them mad. Okay? Or I slow down on purpose. Just because, you know, I went to 12 years of all Catholic school. I know how to play this game. Okay? I know how to work this game. Okay? I've had this. You don't have a ruler, and you're not going to slap me. What do I got to worry about? You know, so I'm like, you know, but I mean, really, you'll be fascinated at what people come up with, the way they do things. It's weird, but it gets done, and they got to do it. And I've tried it, and now the goal in a small business is, can some of those people, in turn, convey that down the line? And it's harder and harder, but if you try and wrap everything up in one thing, I believe you're taking away from a great thing. That requires loyalty to people. And if you're not loyal, if you are loyal, you know what's going to happen? Sure as shooting, you're going to get hurt. People will disappoint you. But you know what? The only way to get to the good ones is to fight through some bad ones. You know, the good ones aren't the first one you see. You'll get disappointed. You'll get massively let down. People will deceive you. All that. All that's out there waiting for you. But there's also jewels, and they're right in front of you. And they may not have the great degree, they may not have this or that, but they have a passion and a desire to just be good at something. Take advantage of that. Don't look any further. They're there. And I'd like to conclude by talking a little bit about perseverance. You know, they didn't mention it at the beginning here, but when I was 25, my mother passed away. She died of cancer. I'm one of 8, the youngest of 5 boys. I have 3 sisters, and she died. It ripped a hole in me. It just ripped a hole in me. And at that time, I was drinking and partying like a rock star, okay? I mean, from D.C. to Philly to New York, I had fun, okay? I had a lot of fun. And the problem is I ended up in a rehab. I ended up having to go get clean, you know, and that was 31 years ago. And I can thankfully say that I've never gone back to that lifestyle. Never, anything. But I had to persevere through that. That was my cross to bear. And I believe everybody has a cross to bear of some sort. But you have to look at yourself. 9 times out of 10, it's you. You're the one that's in your way. I don't know what it is with you. Is it, you know, it can be possibly just some silly neurosis, some lack of confidence. In my instance, it was substances. I mean, you can tell I'm not exactly a type B guy, okay? So the concept that I could get the day done and maybe have a little shot of whiskey to calm the energy down, you know, come on, that's not a new idea. And I loved it. I'm Irish. I liked it, you know? But what I realized, it was going to kill me. And I was a lousy guy, and I was not the person I wanted to be. You know, and that didn't stop there, because that type A neurotic guy didn't go away. In fact, without the nighttime ritual, good Lord, he was let loose. You know, now at 8 a.m., 8 p.m., I'm ripping. My brain is going crazy. How do you fall asleep? You can't. You just stay here. You just stand here and go crazy staring at the wall. So anyway, but I learned how to get over that. And I went out and got help for that. In addition, I went out and got outside help. I'm no longer afraid to say that. I used to think that somehow meant that I wasn't cool or wasn't, I don't know, as a guy, you know, no, I don't need to talk to anybody. I'm all good. I'm tough, you know, but I'm not. I'm not at all. You know, and the other thing is, when I got out here, in addition to the joking around about meeting people, I came out here, and I always joke around with people. We had 3 daughters at the time when we moved out here. So I decided to borrow a lot of money and my wife and I decided to get pregnant again. I think that's good planning. Okay, so now, you know, boy, you just added a little bit on to it, didn't you? So now it goes along a little while. I get her pregnant again. We get pregnant again. We're going to have a 5th girl. Holy moly. You know, and now I got a whole bunch of debt, and I'm running this little business, and let me tell you, the anxiety was crushing. Like, I would get up at times and I could barely get out of bed in the morning. You know, I felt like what I wanted to do when that alarm went off, I would go into a fetal position and just say, please, can we just go, let me fall asleep. But it didn't matter, because sooner or later I got to wake up and face it. And it's this horrible thing. I truly thought at the time, you're going nuts, Mark. You're going nuts. You know, you're going to bring the paddy wagon, you know? And so I said, I got to go see somebody. I got to talk to somebody. And I thought, okay, I'm going to pick somebody, right? But I'm not going to go to some psychotherapist who wants to get into, you know, how were you raised? You know, did your mother breastfeed you past 2? No, I'm not doing that. Okay? I'm going to sit down with this guy, and we're going to get an hour, and we're going to get our money out of him. So I sit down and I say, listen, I moved out from Philly. I had my 5th kid. I borrowed a lot of money. I'm working. I got to pay this money back. I'm a nervous wreck, and I can barely sleep at night. And I want to know, am I nuts? Okay? I'm nuts. Look at me in front of me. When I walked in, do you think I'm nuts? Because I think I'm nuts. And he goes to me, no, you're not nuts. If you didn't have that reaction, you would be nuts. He said, if you came in here and stoically told me what you did and just went, it's all good, I would say, I got to put this guy in a wacky ward. Something's wrong with him. No, you're dealing with something in your life. It's freaking you out in ways you don't even know. But that person helped. It's like a godsend. You know, I listened. Now, believe this, I meditate. 18 minutes. It's like torture, okay? I mean, 18 minutes. When I look down at that watch, it's 15 minutes. I think, no, it was a week. I mean, what in God's another 3 minutes? How? You know? But I do it, and they say it helps. I guess I'm here, they say it helps. So I'm just like, okay, they say, go sit in that room, go sit in the dark room and don't do anything. 15 minutes, okay, 18 minutes I'm up to. But it helps me, And further in life, when ultimately, when I got to the point with my business that I started to have, some element of financial freedom. I'm not just sitting around with nothing to do and rich as it can be. But I was able to take some time away from work. The next thing that hit me is, well, what the hell do I do? I say, Carolyn, maybe I'll stay at home. She's like, oh, no. Oh, no. I love you dearly, but only after 6 p.m. until 8 a.m. Okay? From 8 to 6, get out of here. Last thing I need is you walking around. So I'm like, oh my God, I'm an exile. I'm out there. I go to work. I got nothing to do. I'm like, good Lord. Again, what I did is I realized that's not right. Like, what do you mean? Wait, I was 52 or something, and the way I looked at it was, well, I did well. Now I guess I just go walk in the forest. That scares me. I'm not going there. So anyway, I'm like, okay, so what am I going to do? Well, I went to see, believe it, I went to see a career coach. And if you've never done it, I thought, what in God's green earth is a career coach going to do? Oh, we're going to talk about my career, and you're going to plan everything for me. Yep. That's what happened. For me, I needed someone to lay it out. And they made me say what I wanted to do, and then they said, why don't you do it? And that's why I'm here. This is one of the things I said I wanted to do. I wanted to get up and blabber in front of a bunch of people for about 30 minutes and hope they laugh. That's what I wanted. And maybe I can convey a message. And that's what I hope I did today. And that is that, what's right smack in front of you today, wherever you are, that's probably the best thing to work on. If you spend it worrying about something else, it really is not going to get too far. And if you're going to have any luck at anything, you need people to help you. You just got to have it. And in some regards, is it selfish because I want to get to my end, or is it what I truly want in my heart? In the end, I'm very glad I did it. And perseverance, we all have it. There is nobody that gets out scot-free. Nobody. And I know I didn't. And I know I'm sure there's more ahead. But anyway, with that, I wish everybody a nice day and thank you very much.